that are there to support you on this journey of what you came here to do. And I look at this existence as a school of higher learning, higher elevation for yourself. I don't look at hindering anymore because I once did. I look at them as a platform to build off of, to evolve into this beautiful being, to have this potential to do anything. And especially when you're dealing with energy, which we know can never be created or destroyed, you are this beautiful, powerful, never-ending source of energy and abundance in everything. And the only thing that can happen is that it can be contained, but the containment is here in this mind. And when you change this mind, you change your world, you change your perspective. And this, again, is going into the part of who we are. And we come here fully equipped with everything that we need. There is nothing that we need that is outside of ourselves. Our experiences with people, families, whoever, is, to me, strategically set in place for your most highest elevation. If you don't give up, and if you don't succumb and allow yourself to be kind of set in bondage, again, which is in the mind. But, yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, definitely. I love all those answers. And this, and the top two were there. The influences from, just my understanding, is the influences from when we're a baby, from parents, the schools that we actually go through. So you're constantly learn from. And, you know, back in the days, our ancestors used to, you know, we really used to look up to our elders, you know, our young kids, and you expressed this, Keli, you know, you almost sort of been born yourself, sort of having the little ones around you and your grandkids around you. And that used to be something quite normal, actually, our kids. So being with, you know, if I had children, they'll be with my mum, or they'll be with my mum's mum, and they'll be learning and growing up. And, you know, that connection was just constant. And unfortunately, the way we're sort of brought into the system, you're taken away from that parenthood and you're put into this other cycle, which, you know, there's no good or bad intended with what I'm trying to say. It's just there's a link missing, quite obviously, and it seems to be quite detrimental for people to be able to learn and access those other areas of, in this case, creativity. So, yeah, I loved all those answers very much. What that is. So the other question I had is I wanted to delve in a little bit more deeper, so hopefully you guys can help me with this. So, you know, I'm on a journey with creativity, and there's things that I do enjoy very much and I haven't touched base with enough. One's music. To produce music would be really great. And I'm going through a journey at the moment, which is quite fantastic, in looking at upgrading me as an individual. So that goes through, I'm looking at holistically bettering my well-being and being able to integrate myself into society again, but as an independent individual who can help better others, you know, which, you know, Andy's doing fantastically at the moment, which we see through Facebook, and you guys do as parents, which is just amazing. So, but there's been journeys that I've had to go through, you know, some dark, some, well, I wouldn't say dark, that's the incorrect word, some a bit low, some ups, some downs and whatnot. But sometimes we have to go through, or it seems like we have to go through some not so great times for something to be triggered in an individual to get to that next stage. And I was just curious as to maybe what you guys have gone through, or what was, if there was a particular part in your time cycle that got you sparked, you know, and if you could share on that a little bit as well, like that would be quite amazing. I'd really love to hear some of your stories, you know, in short form, please. I'm seeing Nebs, I'm like that. So Andy, please jump.
Okay. Yeah, I often talk about my experience of making my documentary. There's a documentary about British metal, so it's like a subgenre of metal, and I kind of travelled a little bit around the UK. Basically just around England, but it was kind of about the UK black metal scene. And some people did criticise me for not doing the whole of UK, but I didn't have enough money to do that. But I basically did like a crowdfunding campaign, and got some money for that. I got like £500, so I got some money to go towards it, and then travelled a bit, got invested in a bit more in equipment, and then ended up making a documentary that was like 40 minutes long, and now it's got over 100,000 views on YouTube now. So it's definitely been a successful piece of work that I've done. And I was like very focused on, when I was making it, I was very focused on doing it to the best I could. So that was like something for me that was being a big breakthrough, doing that, because it showed me the potential that I have and how much what I can produce when I put all my effort into it and dedication. And it was partly from other people's support in terms of supporting the idea in a way, like saying they wanted to watch that film, like the idea that I put out there. They said, "Oh yeah, I'd really like to watch that." So that made me say, "I've got a purpose to make this film because other people want to watch it." So I had an audience before I made it, which was nice. And then once I put the idea out there, somebody that was in a band with me put the idea out more, and then I was like getting loads of people saying, "Oh yeah, can't wait to watch this," and stuff. And then I knew there was an audience, so I thought I'd do a crowdfunding campaign, and then that's what made me get the money for it and to make it, and then end up getting so many people watching it. So that's like been the biggest thing for me. And then I learned so much from that in terms of I enjoy interviewing people. So like I enjoy being interviewed, and I enjoy interviewing people because I like to learn more about people and have conversations, deep conversations. So I just like to question things and be curious, stay curious, and stay creative.
Amazing. Thank you for that. Okay.
I just go over the question, like, what sort of like adversity have you kind of gone through to kind of, is that what you were asking?
Yeah. Well, the question is basically, what sparked you to, was there a particular part in your time cycle that got you really kicked into your creative side? For example, you know, I went through a slight downfall where, you know, I used to use alcohol and drugs to change the way I feel, and it became quite problematic. And, you know, it's been over a few years now since I haven't touched that stuff. But at the same time, it's been quite an amazing journey. And I found that the void that I had is slowly being fulfilled with more compassion and self-love that I'm learning as I'm going along. It's going to be a never-ending journey, and an amazing one at that. Yeah. But I'm also finding that I'm re-sparking and realising that I have things that I genuinely love. And it's getting to that point now where I feel like I can't keep holding it back. You know, I need to engage in these things because it's something missing. The 9-to-5 job or whatever job, yeah, I have to put money on the table, but that's not the be-all and end-all. It really has to be, you know, please add on to that, Bobby.
Yeah, I see. Well, I think for me, in my own personal journey, and I'm sure this is true for many other people as well, but for me personally, I really struggled with, you know, I always felt abandoned, I always felt rejected. So I was the youngest of 6, and I already said in a previous answer, which is that I struggled a lot with kind of growing up and always feeling like everything had to be really hard, and you had to sort of struggle to kind of get through stuff. And so that was kind of how I grew up. And my parents didn't really have much time because they were so busy, so kind of overrun with kids and kind of trying to make enough money and stuff themselves. And so I grew up and feeling like we had to be really careful around my mum and stuff. You know, she would freak out at the smallest thing. So it was like we were just tiptoeing around, and at the same time growing up, realizing that I felt like I, you know, really didn't feel like I felt any good about myself, just really, really low self-esteem. And that really reflected in my life at school. I was very much very withdrawn. And I guess this sort of experience has different effects on different people, but for me, I became really withdrawn, and I just had zero self-esteem, like literally, like, and felt really kind of, lost most of the time at school. And so as a result of that, I became very withdrawn, and for most of my life, actually, I've been quite like internal. I've always kind of gone into myself. That was always my natural thing, was to kind of withdraw. But I think within that, I used to think a lot, and I used to journal a lot. I used to write a lot of thoughts down. And just looking back at my old diaries from when I'm like 13, like, it's unbelievable the sort of stuff I'm writing about. It's really quite sort of profound. So I think I kind of thought a lot, and I think that really kind of set the stage for me writing songs, because it was like a sort of outlet for me, really, to kind of to really kind of express that sadness, and really I had a lot of sadness to express in my music, and that's kind of how it started. And now I don't see my songs as being sad, actually, necessarily, but they do contain an element of that sadness and that sort of longing from all that experience. But I think that's also what gives sorry, that's the dog barking. I think that's what also gives you that spur for creativity, is that kind of pain that you might feel, and I think that can actually make your creativity really powerful, is when you have gone through that kind of real deep pain. I think that can really be quite a great fuel for being creative. You see it with a lot of great poets and musicians and actors and things, and they're really being fueled by that emotion that they kind of carried with them. So I don't know if I kind of went off the rails there with that answer, but
no, you didn't. You didn't at all. No, a lot of it made very much a lot of sense. And just to add on top of that, Poggy, yeah, definitely. It's a very strange situation. Sorry, I'm doing a Danner. It's a very strange situation where you are, where pain and it's pain. I'm not sure if it's the right word, but forgive me. It's when you kind of have to go through, or when the individual's gone through a slightly morbid stage. Actually, getting out of that situation can be quite empowering for the individual. For me, that journey showed me that how little I knew of myself. That was my personal experience, and how easily influenced I was, and how my underlying creative side was always there, and it still wants to pop out. It never goes. So, Keli, please, can you add on top of that, please?
Oh, yes. I think those are just beautiful testimonies. Yes, pain. You just cannot have growth without it. And in 2014, I felt like my life was completely done. Everything in it had just flipped over. I made a missions trip to Haiti, and I later learned that Haiti means formation. I went there in April of 2014, and June of 2014, I was very ill. And it wasn't because I went to Haiti. It was because things were changing in me. A transformation was seriously happening. And this transformation that I went through, I felt like I was losing literally my mind. And I felt that I was so disconnected to everything. I didn't want to be here anymore. I was just like, if this is just how life is getting ready to be, what is the whole point? So what got me to that place, my marriage was ending. I had left my husband and moved to Georgia to live with my mom and her husband. And it was just too chaotic for me. And I remember being up one night, just crying out to God, like, do you hear me? Can you see me? After all, I just did a missions trip, sharing your word everywhere. So like, am I getting punked? Where am I it became 2:00 in the morning, and all of a sudden I heard this voice. It was so audible, and it said to me, what is happening to you is what you are doing to yourself. And what I need you to learn how to do is to listen to you. And that is when everything began to shift for me. Did it happen right away? No. My mom had to give me a lot of pep talks. She was like, baby, all you have to do is change your mind. I would be like, you're over there smiling, but you don't know what's going through this head that's making me feel. So as I began to just chill out in myself and let things go and learn how to just embrace me and learn how to love me, over time things changed and began to life. And another beautiful thing that happened to me while I was at my mom's, I was looking in the mirror one day and I saw this image, and I was like, now I know that's not me, because by then I was really sick and I was looking like hell, like someone ran me over, and I was looking bad. But who I saw in this beautiful, powerful woman, and it was my soul reflecting back to me, telling me, first of all, you got this. You're going to be okay. We need for you to live and push through this. And I did. And I am here at this moment today because I learned how to embrace and love myself. I learned how to stand up for my truth. I learned how to turn off things that were exterior to me because I no longer needed that scaffolding to support me, that the life lessons were trying to teach me. I learned to go in and love me. And even with that, people, in unrelated but related, because we're talking about creativity, in our mind, we can manifest heaven or hell all day long. And as I ended my relationship with my former husband, and I will say it wasn't he did this to me or I did that to him. It's just there comes a point in time where you just kind of outgrow certain things. So with that being said, I was able to manifest what I felt was something that would be reflective of me. And I met the love of my life at this phase in my life. And it is beautiful. So I tell people that when you begin to learn how to love yourself and trust yourself, that is when the purest form of creative magic happens. And it is in all spectrums of your life. Everything changes. And that's just like a little bit of it. I mean, this whole thing of living in my truth not only led me to a more beautiful relationship, but I have a company that I started with my son because when I was sick, I refused to eat anywhere. I was like, I'm not getting ready to put that in my body because I don't know what y'all have done to it. Even when it came down to smoothies. So I was making my stuff at home. And one day my son tried it and he was like, you know, I feel guilty for not paying you for this because this is really good and we need to sell this. And we went in and we believed that we could, and Take a Stand was created. We went to little vending events, did little pop-up tents, and now we have a building where our store is. And I shared this with you the other day. I was like, there was just a point in time where I only wanted a refrigerator full of fruit and vegetables. Now I have a freaking store that my apartment, I live over my store. And all I have to do every day is walk downstairs to get the, whatever needs to be done. But this is living your truth, creating this beautiful momentum of magic from when I felt like I wanted to go like, I'm done, come get me now, to like, life is so full of magic because I am living my purest and divine truth. Just loving yourself. It starts with you listening to and loving who you are. In the end, for now.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Intuition, being in synchronicity with yourself and what I like to call my oversoul. And the energy that's naturally coming out of you, you will attract accordingly. It's as simple as that. And that's what I've heard from all three of you. It's quite powerful, amazing stuff. It's really, really important to learn certain traits of creativity to be able to manifest. That's the key word that I'm hearing. To be able to learn to manifest these, to learn to manifest whatever it is that you're attempting to bring to life, to prosper in your case, the shop, your amazing store with your son, you know, in Andy's case, his creative brain to be able to distribute a certain amount of energy and inspire other spiritual individuals and show them the way. And Poggy, how you managed to do that effortlessly through music, which is just quite amazing. It's just incredible to see how we've all come from different walks of life and how people can be affected in certain ways. But the key question now, which is what I'm trying to go into, is what traits would creativity, what traits do individuals need to have to be able to spark that creative awareness, should we say? I've got a few things here, so I'm just going to pick some off, and I just want to know what you guys think of these and how important you think they are. So if I find the right page, that'd be nice. So here it is. So the first one I've got here is courage. So to have courage to try new things and risk failure. Every big breakthrough starts at a harebrained idea. This doesn't mean you should constantly go off the deep end. Just that you should balance your routine portfolio of solutions with an investment in a new and untried. Over time, the risk is usually worth the reward. This is off of a website called copyblogger.com, looking into highly creative individuals. But yeah, courage, quite a powerful word. Andy, you're you want to jump in on this one, obviously.
Yeah, it's good for me because I run a group called the Courageous Creators Challenge, so I'm all about the courage, where I get people to, you know, embrace their courage, because I think it's an innate quality, but it's just, are we willing to step into that or not? So courage is definitely a big part, a definitely good trait to spark your creativity, because it's what can accelerate you into getting into that place. Because when you do the challenge, if you ever do the 5-day challenge that I do, it's like the first day for a lot of people is most difficult, because they're just coming on and introducing themselves to a new group of people, and just starting to talk to a camera or talk to a phone or whatever, or a computer, you know, because that's a strange thing for people to do at first. But then when you start to do it, then it gets easier. And then that's, for me, I think that's the hardest thing, is the day one of my challenge. And then like the other days get harder and harder. So like other things I throughout the whole 5 days, the other topics that we cover are embracing your vulnerability, because we're all vulnerable, so it's better to embrace it than to deny it and be in denial and say I'm not vulnerable and try and pretend that you're safe and protected fully and stuff like that. And also embracing your weirdness, which I think is like unique. What's unique to you? Because people think that's weird. I didn't expect that to happen. Or I didn't expect you to do that, but that's because it's a unique thing. So weirdness and unique is the same thing. And also I talk about inspiration as well. That's another topic. What inspires you? And then a lot of people end up talking about a few people that inspire them, or things that inspire them, or concepts. But also they talk about how life itself is inspirational, and nature is, and even yourself, you can inspire yourself. So those are some of the traits of creativity for me. And also I wanted to just, based on what we've just been talking about as well, I just made a few notes which I think would be useful to bring in. Like one thing that I've heard from learning about other spiritual teachers is that our soul kind of came here. We chose to come here. We chose the family even that we kept reincarnated with. So then they would teach us the lessons that we wanted to learn. Or so some people get put on the earth and then have really big challenges because their soul was so courageous. We'll come back to courageous again. The soul was so courageous that they were like, let's take on these big challenges and let's go to this family, or let's go to this situation. And then that brings out their true nature, and like they can discover how it is to help everyone in the world and the earth. So like when you choose to come to the earth, you're a courageous soul because it's very chaotic. So, and also like your obstacles are like your teachers. So when someone So for example, if someone has an argument with you and then stuff, and like how you can deal with that determines how far you can progress and stuff. Like if you can't deal with an argument, then it limits your growth. So it's like, that's an example there of an obstacle being a teacher. And also, like Keli was talking about, I think kind of like the topic of appreciating who you are and like also appreciating what you already have. So like I think that's a big one as well, gratitude of what you already have and focusing on that instead of focusing on what you don't have, because when you focus on what you don't have, then you just manifest more of that. So you're better off on focusing on what you already have and then dreaming big on and using your imagination to dream something bigger than that. And then what's also interesting is I watched this guy called Matt Kahn, and he talks about whatever you're doing, you can notice that you're doing it well. So like if you're really hating the moment or really not enjoying the moment, you can be like, wow, I'm doing a really good job at not enjoying this moment. So you can always put it back on yourself and say, I'm doing a good job at so and so. You know, I'm doing a job being angry or being upset or whatever. You know, that's another interesting one.
Yeah, totally. A lot of that makes sense. So, yeah, a little bit to add on that. Yeah, everything always comes back to the individual for sure, definitely. No matter what, like, especially when I notice if I'm arguing in my head or just about to argue at someone, just catch myself and realise that, the person that I am arguing at is me, quite clearly. The person's not doing anything wrong. Well, they might be in reality, but Boggy, intuition, as well as logic to make decisions and produce ideas. Listening to your gut, keeping it simple, small, fast. What can you add to that? Your intuition, how important is this to someone's creative side? Is it something that you is it in your eyes?
That I feel that question is quite relevant to me in that I feel like I'm only just really starting to learn to really tap into my intuition. I think with things like being creative, you know, like with my creativity, with my music and stuff, I just tap into it straight away, no problems. Like that, there's no block with me kind of getting in touch with it. Then it's just like an automatic direct link, you know, to my intuition. But I think sometimes I find it hard to translate into everyday life. So whereas that's really effortless when it comes to my music and kind of completely natural, I come up against a kind of block sometimes in day-to-day life. So yeah, I think tapping into intuition is absolutely crucial, and I think things go a lot better when you do. And I always find that when I make decisions for my intuition, it always feels like the best thing. Like, but I still have a lot of fear about doing that. Sometimes my mind gets involved and says, "Oh no, but what about this?" And you know, fear and stuff. I think fear is a massive factor getting in the way of intuition. I know that because I experienced it myself. Like, I've experienced that with day-to-day life. But it sounds like Keli's really kind of nailed that. You know, really tapped into that source all the time, and that's what I'm aiming for myself, is just to really kind of get in touch with that in every area of my life. And yeah, like I say, with my music, it's just a natural feed into my intuition.
Yeah.
So
it's almost like time doesn't exist when you're in that moment. It's like it just is right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Thanks a lot for that. I mean, Keli, another one. Expression. So, you know, being willing to share what you feel, think, to be themselves, to be yourself, injecting your personality into your work and into people. What else has he got there? Appearing to be real, honest, and open. Wow. Very short but very powerful words they are. Expressiveness. Yeah. Can you tap into that one for us?
Yes. You have to know that you are enough. You're enough. There is nothing that is outside of you that's going to make you whole or complete. Learn how to show up for yourself. And as you were sharing how, you know, sometimes we're like having this conversation with ourselves. Listen to it. because it's really directing you into the way that you need to go. So I think it's just beautiful, just this whole marriage that we have within, and also in that outside of ourselves, that we, this beautiful cosmic force of just the knowingness. So my son and I have this saying, when we are faced with things that seem quite challenging with our company, we are always saying to each other, the greater the push, the greater the reward. And as from woman to woman, giving birth to children is not an easy task. It is very painful, but the greater the push, the greater the reward. And look at what you get to manifest into this realm. It is just priceless. So again, just know that you're enough. You are enough, and that you, again, and I always love to tell people that you are not here to change the world, because you can't. You are here to change yourself. And when you change yourself, you create this beautiful force that creates this universe that you get to dwell in. And you get to invite other people too, who are connected to what you are creating. That's the magic. You don't have to deal with all of that other stuff. And just remember that other stuff is nothing but scaffolding that's here to teach you and show you and remind you of how great you really are. As painful as some things can be in life, it's necessary. Just again, like giving birth, it's necessary. I love yin yoga. It hurts like hell some days, but it's necessary for me to become more flexible and maybe get my head down to the ground, you know. But it's just a part of this beautiful dance, this beautiful life, this beautiful expression that we really signed up for, so that we can become the greatness that we chose to in this time.
Lovely. Wow, amazing, yeah. I don't think there's much more I can actually add to that. I think you just nailed it, to be honest. Yeah, it's definitely about what I'm definitely hearing from this, and what I'm going through myself, is recognizing that, you know, the experience that I have to go through, you know, there are things externally that are there and put there for a reason. And some things I may not like, but they're a test showing me what I don't like, and therefore there's always a flip side that maybe you need to be doing this, or maybe you don't need to be doing that because you've already done that. You should be going this way. And also the fact that, you know, being out, it's almost like the things that I don't like are just traits. They're showing me that I'm slightly out of sync. They're showing me that they're not bad things. That's what I'm trying to get at. They're things that are put in my way, showing me specifically what I'm supposed to be seeing at that present time, because I'm generally manifesting it at that time. So I think we've all experienced this when we're in the flow, when we're in the mode, and I've noticed this when I've got this little, it's not a little music producer type thing on my lap, my tablet, and I played with that. And when I'm in the zone in that, everything just sort of collapses around me. Time, people, everything. I'm in the zone, and nothing matters. My energy is almost sort of raised. Time doesn't exist, and I'm totally in the flow. That creative side just happens, and to be able to spark that on a conscious level regularly, there has to be some things put in place that we definitely touched base on. There's a few more things here, which is like making connections with old ideas and producing new insights, challenging assumptions, which Andy spoke about earlier as well. Being motivated by a task. Keli, you touched on that. Finding solutions, really being in the now, and actually, you know, pushing the fear factor, which, you know, Hockey spoke about as well. It's really, they're testing times, but without these things, we wouldn't be able to grow. I feel we've all experienced that at one point, that stagnant approach where, you know, you feel like nothing's happening and everything that around you that is happening is because of where we are in that space at that present time, which is very daunting. So, you know, stepping outside of the box and seeing you guys and being on this show and hearing these amazing journeys you're all going through is really inspiring stuff, and I hope that whoever watches this gets something from it and hopefully sparks them up for this year and the upcoming future. So that being said, wow, thank you so much for sharing this space, guys. I really, really appreciate your time, and it's been amazing. It really has been really beautiful. Keli, Andy, Poggy, Dan, I will be in contact with you, and I will get all your information down so I can put it down in there underneath the video when I do post this, and I will get hold of you, Poggy, to send this video to you as well. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, for being here. I'm going to be signing off.
Thank you, everyone.
And yeah, be well, and we'll catch you very, very soon. Just thank you so much for being amazing chat. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.